Salute, ATP. It's your boy Claymore Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out to all my subscribers. If this is the first time tapping into this content, I'm going to go ahead and invite you to hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you're getting alerts when all this content is dropping. You know we're going to talk about boxing over here. Normally I'd be on doing a live right about this time, but I got things I got going on and I can't do the show tonight. I apologize to anybody who's anticipating seeing this show, but I'm not going to leave you high and dry. We're going to cover a little bit about what's going on in boxing. So it seems like top of the headline, right? Top of the headline today right now at the moment that just came out. News that came out, I believe yesterday it really came out, but I think it became a big deal today. But let's talk about it, right? WBO has ordered Sebastian Fondura to defend his WBO title and honor his mandatory against Terrence Crawford. Oh, what do I think? Let me share my thoughts. What do I think? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think much of it. I don't think it's a big deal because I think we all saw this coming, right? What's the story behind this? If you guys don't know the story is back on the PBC's first event of 2024 when they were supposed to have Sebastian Fondura, Tim Tszyu was supposed to be defending his WBO title. Well, actually, it wasn't going to be a title defense, right? It was going to be a catchweight fight between him and Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman got an injury. Sebastian Fondura, who was going to be fighting for that WBC title in a fight against against Serhii Bohachuk, right, was elevated into a situation where he was given an opportunity to go ahead and fight, replace Keith Thurman and fight Tim Tszyu for Tim Tszyu's WBO title, and also brought that WBC title that was vacant at the time. If you guys don't remember, Jamel Charlo was stripped of that title, and it was the vacant WBC title, and it was going to end up being a unification title fight. Now, everybody thought that Tim Tszyu was going to win that fight. Me, myself, I went in there with my concerns because why? Sebastian Fondura, 6'5", 80+ arm reach, all types of awkward behavior and difficulties that we knew that somebody like Tim Tszyu, who not only is standing at about 5'8", 5'9", but also was preparing to fight a Keith Thurman who was standing around the same height and was an orthodox fighter, where now he's about to fight this 6'5" southpaw puncher in Sebastian Fondura, the towering inferno, right? So needless to say, there was an upset that night by some people's measures. They thought it was going to be an upset. They thought that was an upset, but Sebastian Fondura walked away a unified champion. What was going on in the background? Well, in the background while that was happening, Terrence Crawford just getting out of a mandatory rematch clause that was activated by Errol Spence, had just gotten out of that rematch clause and was looking for what his next fight was going to be. He decided to go from 147 to go to 154, activated mandatory WBO championship fight with the winner of that fight, which was presumptuously going to be Tim Tszyu, but it ended up being Sebastian Fondura. He took on that mandatory, and the WBO put Sebastian Fondura on notice that evening before he even had an opportunity to go to the hospital for his broken nose, to let him know that this was the next fight that was scheduled for him. It was going to be a mandatory, and if he didn't activate it and he didn't honor it, he would be stripped of that WBO title. So we knew ever since then that this was coming, right? Terrence Crawford, he had put himself in position, and you saw Errol Spence come in the ring, and it kind of looked like the PBC was kind of trying to undercut Terrence Crawford, but ultimately his relationship with the WBO seemed to have prevailed in that situation and put him in a position to where it was like, all right, well, you guys can fight if that's the fight you guys are trying to coordinate, but that WBO title is going to have to come with me because you're going to have to vacate it, and I'm going to be the one who's going to be elevated as long as I beat the fighter I got in front of me, which was at the time that we know recently was Riyadh season headliner Israel Madrimov, versus Terrence Crawford. He won that fight, won that WBA title off of Israel Madrimov, became an interim WBO title holder as a result of that, of winning that fight, and was just waiting on Sebastian Fondura. The WBO was just waiting on Sebastian Fondura to heal up his nose and look to make his next fight. Well, rumors have already gone out that Errol Spence and Sebastian Fondura is a fight that they're trying to put together. So we kind of expected this to come, right? This is the order of events where the WBO sends out that letter and officially puts that order in and says, listen, you got to defend your title. All right. Or in this case, our title, right? You got to defend our title or we're going to have to take it off of you. We'll see at this point what Sebastian Fondura does, right? Does he go ahead and honor that and fight Terrence Crawford and fights to keep his title? At which point it'll be another unified championship going on, right? It'll be the WBC and the WBO title on the line against Terrence Crawford's WBA title. Will be a three belt unified champion coming out on the other side of that conversation? Or does he go what a lot of people are saying the PBC's way is going to be, which is to have him vacate that WBO title, which will elevate Terrence Crawford to a full WBO champion, make him the only unified champion in that division, and then he'll be defending his title against Errol Spence. Here's the kicker and the twist, right? Because people are going to try to paint a picture like Terrence Crawford's back is against the wall. He's been painted in the corner. Here's the kicker. The kicker is Mauricio Suleiman went ahead and put out a letter and said, look, we see what you're trying to do up in 154 pounds, and you still do hold these welterweight championship belts outside of that IBF belt, right? So he holds the WBO, he holds the WBA, and he holds the WBC title, right? So Mauricio Suleiman said, this is what we're going to do for you. We're going to make you a champion in recess at 147 pounds, and we're going to give you a mandatory to that WBC title. So whenever Sebastian Fondura defends that title, whoever wins in that fight between him and Errol Spence, it looks like Terrence Crawford again has put himself in position. This is chess, not checkers. He's put himself in position to be a mandatory to that title as well. So it can either be he fights Sebastian Fondura for both of those belts, or he can take that WBO belt off of him after the WBO strips him of that belt, and then he can just wait for the winner between Sebastian Fondura and Errol Spence and go and chase down that WBC title. I mean, we're talking about a perfect storm to put Terrence Crawford in the perfect position to be this much closer, to literally be one belt shy of being an undisputed champion at 154 pounds if the boxing gods allow it, right? We'll see what Sebastian Fondura does, though, because this is where it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to what is Sebastian Fondura's next move going to be? What is the PBC going to advise Sebastian Fondura to do? That'll put a way bigger and better, clearer perspective of what to expect. The only title that's going to be floating around right now is going to be the title that's going to be getting defended between Tim Tszyu and Bakram Makramov. I hope I'm saying him, Murgiotalov. Don't quote me. Don't quote me. Tim Tszyu's getting ready to fight for that title, though, on the PBC's free card in October. So there'll be an IBF belt on the line there, and whoever wins that fight will have that one belt that'll be floating around out there. And I'm pretty sure Turki Al-Sheikh is going to be able to work something out to put that title on the line. And I think, to be honest with you personally, I think it's very realistic to see Terrence Crawford as an undisputed champion at 154 pounds, or at least having an opportunity to become a 154-pound undisputed champion. That'll make him a 3-weight class undisputed champion. Like, I know he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez and he wants to have that legacy, but let me tell you, if the Canelo Alvarez fight isn't there, being an undisputed champion in 3 weight classes, nothing to bat your eyes at. That's a pretty big accomplishment. So let's see what happens. You guys let me know in the comments what you think about it. WBO goes ahead and activates that mandatory, orders Sebastian Fondura to defend that title against Terrence Crawford. Let's see what happens next. Let's see how this develops. Guys, once again, thank you for coming by the channel. Thank you for checking out the content. If it tickles your fancy, listen, I invite you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit your bell icon so you're getting alerts when all this content is dropping. It's your boy, Claymore Rain. It's that ATP Combat Media Show. And on that note, we out.